There's the Graviton Surge, and there's the Dragon Strike. It does come through. It gets those 4 kills. Zappos going off there.
I think as a team, we were pretty solid today. Like nothing too drastic happened. Like we got to play our own game and roll with it. It was really good.
This Unwanted went to engage. That is never going to work. They walked into the Dragon. They fed him there.
I think we're doing really good. Like definitely in the top 5 in the world. But probably we take on anyone. We haven't really won any LAN tournaments yet, and some people have called us like an onliner team, like only succeeding in the minor online tournaments, and now it's our chance to prove ourselves. I think we're gonna be stronger than ever. Yeah, for sure. That's what we're aiming for.
Looks like we'll pull them all together. Blizz will catch him on the edge of it, but Fraggy picks himself up 5 kills.
Yeah, pretty filthy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Overwatch Championship at DreamHack Winter 2016, powered by GeForce GTX. We're back here with the second semi-final. It's going to be Fnatic going up against the guys from NIP. And the big storyline here is definitely that both of those teams, as of yet, have not managed to win like a bigger tournament. And they're both like really eager to show that they can do it. And I personally can't wait to see which of the two will we see in the final going up against Misfits. Yeah, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think it's more of a story, I think, for NIP, just because, you know, everyone considers them like a top 5 team in the world. Now, it's just like the one thing that's kind of eluding them, like a LAN victory. I mean, there haven't been many for many teams like in Overwatch thus far, but I feel like one here would really kind of solidify their spot.
The very moment that NIP got sponsored by that organization, they changed drastically in their approach to the game. They could sort of quit their jobs and focus more. So this team has actually been one of the longest standing teams in Overwatch since back in the beta. They were known as SG1, and that combined with a group of legendary Finnish Tier 2 players and some guys from Paragon EU, the WoW raiding guild. So they came together and they were like, Tier 2, okay. But as soon as they got picked up by NIP, they changed. And obviously they pioneered the triple tank, bringing Ana into the meta as well. It's time for them to have their crown, I think, and this is probably the best place to do it.
Definitely. I mean, the meta is really playing into their hands. They're looking very comfortable at the moment. So let's take a look at the brackets to see how they got into this wonderful semi-final we are about to see. Here is the players' bracket for you. We just saw Misfits going up against Complexity. 3-1 was the result of that. And now Misfits are eagerly awaiting an opponent in the final. We're going to see if it's going to be Ninjas and Pyjamas or Fnatic joining them. And really, both teams have showed us some really good performances so far. NIP, however, looked very stable in all the matches they had so far, whereas Fnatic has been a little bit shaky every now and then.
Well, I think Fnatic, I mean, when we spoke to Cool Matt, he was saying they were a little bit kind of thrown off by all the different things that Misfits threw at them earlier, that they felt a little bit more comfortable playing in a standard game. And that's a game that NIP is definitely going to give them.
And I think they're comfortable playing, in this particular game. Speaking to NIP prior as well, with the practice that was happening, they said Fnatic are the most threatening team to us from scrim results alone. So their experience is Fnatic, who play triple tank, but they play triple tank to beat triple tank. So Cool Matt was a little bit buzzed out when he was seeing all this Sombra, this triple DPS coming in. So Fnatic, finally things are ready to go the way that they're supposed to here. And maybe they will have things that they were holding on to just to deal with NIP. I wouldn't be surprised because they have a target on NIP's back.
Or did Fnatic pick up anything in the series against Misfits that they feel like they can put into their game and use a little bit against NIP?
It's hard to say, really. I mean, there's two very, very different teams playing very, very different styles. And I think that, you know, seeing what Misfits played as well, we saw that Complexity played a whole host of different things. Their quad tank especially didn't work out on defense. No. Torque Zaya didn't add enough to that team. So I really don't know how much you take away. And I think you don't even think about Misfits right now as well. You're dealing with the pioneers of the triple tank and quad tank composition. You studied them. You should know what to bring.
Yeah, I think that's just like that big point. Going up against NIP, you can't really beat them at their own meta. Like, it's really, really hard to perform better at picking more or less the same thing as they do, because they have been doing just that for so long now. So they're experts at it, and they have the aggression, they have the confidence in it. So I think for any team, going up with the same kind of strat is going to be really hard. I do feel like they have to throw something else at their faces.
Well, I liked what Skipjack said, is that when they have these heavy tank lineups, it's hard for them to get into the back line. And like NIP, they're very aggressive, right? Like Fraggy with the more aggressive Reinhardts, he's going to get right in your face. They're going to try and push through. It's like, well, what if you just push straight back at them, or just let Fraggy just go by Fraggy? Like if you have like a Tracer or a Genji, just get by Fraggy and just really start to attack the supports in the back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we'll see Genji from Fnatic, really. I mean, we've seen a little bit from Haffy. It was a very small amount. And I think you're right. You can tell when NIP are going to get aggressive on you, if they're holding a point and if they're also holding near any sort of choke, right? So you know when they're going to be aggressive, you need to reciprocate that, and you need to beat them at their own game. Not hard to do, but given the caliber of individual skill on this Fnatic roster, it is within the realm of possibility.
And we did see that it is shaking them up. We had the games against Complexity yesterday, where the Sombra did go in aggressively, like shut down those shields with the EMP, and that did work. That really threw them a little bit off their game.
And I think, you know, Complexity of today probably plays against NIP the other day. I think it's a little bit different, because I feel like Complexity played much better around the Sombra today than they did the other day. So I don't think
you guys called her a Sombra specialist on the
I mean, if any exists right now, it's probably them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think very interesting dichotomy in this team is Coolmat and Haffercool's hero pools, because we saw in Hollywood that Coolmat was actually playing Diva. Now, he was supposed to be playing the DPS role, and Haffercool was supposed to be playing Diva, but we saw them mix it up, and Haffercool played Hanzo for a little bit too long, in my opinion, as well. But so this team, what's going on between Coolmat and Haffercool, I'm not too sure about. Custer's been very consistent over the course of this tournament. You can see it's quite clear he prefers to play Zenyatta. He struggled with Ana on those King of the Hill maps on Ilios earlier on here. But the bonus is, neither of these teams like to play control point maps. We might not see many of them at all.
It's a little bit interesting, too. I feel like at this event, we've seen the least Ana I feel like we've seen in a while. I feel like we've seen a lot of Zenyatta this weekend, so it's definitely not a bad thing. Are you happy with that? I mean, I'm indifferent to it. I mean, I think Ana's I think Ana's pretty good, right? I mean, Ana's great for like the the triple tanks and to just be able to heal them up. But I like Zenyatta's damage. I mean, if you're asking me personally who I'm going to play, I'm going to play Zenyatta all the time, because I just hate not being able to kill people. But
well, I'm happy with it. I am absolutely happy with it, because players have been complaining a lot actually about Ana's still too strong. Biotic Grenade's still doing too much damage. She's still getting too much burst healing done. But now we're actually seeing that people are able to not go with Ana and survive. So that also should be maybe a sign to some of the pro players who are very vocal that perhaps Ana is not the be-all and end-all.
Yeah, I think that definitely happened when they took the speed boost out of the Nano, because now you can't just like get a Reaper, Nano boost them, go in and open up fights that way. Like, you have to just be a little bit more creative. We're seeing like Roadhog, obviously, big initiator trying to get hooks around shields. I think that's definitely kind of impacted Ana's a little bit of viability.
Now, of course, it's interesting to see what maps the guys are going to be playing on. So we do have the maps ready for you, the vetoes as well as the picks for those two teams.
No shocks to me, really, here. I'm very much expecting to see two of these two CV maps. Notice the Bears, all of those King of the Hill maps are out of the picture here as well. Volskaya being in the pool is incredibly exciting and very interesting now. I would like to think whoever chose this map, I would say probably Fnatic, will have something prepared on this one now as well. We need to get through Dorado, which I thought Fnatic were very good on in general, and then Hollywood would have been NIP. I can actually see who's picking the maps almost from here. We'll see. That Volskaya coming in is curious.
Whoever's name is on the side of the maps is probably the one.
That's definitely how that works.
Oh yeah, totally figured that out, guys. I knew that. Don't worry about it.
But you totally look like a genius.
Right. But of course, really Dorado Hollywood, NIP will play it. They play Hanzo better than Fnatic does.
Yeah.
Stuff for you guys. Oh, I got this.
And Anubis is the first map. I believe that's the map that Fnatic dropped to Mousesports. And then they ended up losing.
That was a draw. It was a draw.
Yeah, it was a draw, but they ended up actually losing the tiebreaker. So I count that as a loss. If you draw and then lose the tiebreaker, I count that as a loss.
They lost on Anubis on Lee
Fair
Jane.
enough.
So
yes,
there you go.
Exactly. Makes it.
Now, I think the very first panel time we had with you, Mr. X, you said that you do pick NIP as the winner of the whole tournament. So I'm just going to assume
I'm auto-locking NIP,
in your
Yeah, no, I'm not
Predictions
gonna listen. I picked somebody to win. I'm not gonna jump off of it. So
Okay.
I'll stay with NIP.
Committed. All right.
Honestly,
Honestly,
I think
yeah.
we could see a Fnatic upset here. Looking at that pool as well, 2 of those 5 maps are very good for NIP. The rest are not as great. So I don't know, if we see Fnatic really step up on their 2 CP maps, I think they can take the series.
Well, you've just picked Fnatic, so.
I have. Hey, yep,
It's
that's
not
fine.
like you could really go back.
I'll wear
It's
that.
just the first, yeah, that's okay. I know how that feels.
I've been picking for Zoe, I feel like.
You want to pick for me again, or?
No, you can go.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks very much. I honestly think that NIP is looking more solid,
Yeah,
just overall. Because Fnatic has been looking shaky in some of the matches. They have been losing against teams, or at least like some rounds against teams where I feel personally they should not have lost it. So I just feel that a team such as NIP, being so solid, being so consistent in the way they're playing, they can't win against them if they look shaky at any point of time. So that's why I'm gonna pick Ninjas in Pyjamas here as the favorite. But, you know, we can talk as long as the day is long. That made no sense. However, we have again.
It does make sense.
Stop it.
It does make sense, as long as the day is long, that's fine.
Yeah, I just don't like saying
24 hours is a long time.
that's very true. Either way, we have a second semi-final on the way for you guys at home, so get ready for all the action with our casters.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome here to the semifinal between Fnatic and Ninjas in Pyjamas. 2 titans here of the Overwatch scene, going to be fighting it out here, looking to get to the grand finals. And Hex, this should be a good one.
It should be great. I just want to say overall about the tournament, they talked about, like we saw Zenyatta more than Ana. I just want to just stifle all the threads where people talk about, oh, the meta's stale, it gets figured out after 2 days, and then we wait for the next patch. You're just wrong, straight up wrong, and if this tournament doesn't prove it, then I don't know what will. All these teams have their different identity, their different styles. I cannot wait to see what Fnatic brings. I think the map pool is so cool. I know that they're a team that devises specific strategies for maps against certain teams as well, so this map in particular, I think we're going to see something very cool, especially out of Fnatic on their offense when it comes around to that. So I think we will be in for some surprises in these sets.
Absolutely, and again, this is a case where I could see either of the 2 teams taking here. NIP, of course, have been sort of the juggernaut, the favorite coming in, and yet Fnatic, we've definitely seen them level up over the course of this tournament, and just seeing Cool Matt once more on the hit scan, for me, that's phenomenal, where people might not remember it, but there's a point where he was one of the most fearsome players in the game.
Absolutely.
On your McCrees, on your Reapers, and certainly now on Soldier.
I could not agree more. Is one of the cases where I'm just so happy I'm not on the desk so that I don't have to have prediction on record, because I just get to root for good games. I hope we go to 5. It should be great. I do think, though, overall, that you could learn something a little bit from yesterday. The NIP's weakness, we talked to those guys, right? And they're like, we're not losing the front line. And we could do nothing but just smile and nod, because yes, they don't lose their front line. But Complexity showed us if you get to their back line, you pressure them, they can have a weakness. It's a small weakness, but we'll see if that comes into play.
Absolutely. Well, take a look here at the offense coming out here from NIP. Of course, we're going to be seeing Himsy on that Roadhog, Mafu on the Zarya, Zappos on the Winston, and they're going to be looking to dive into this Winston, create some space at Fnatic's expense, and oh my goodness, Vonethel just thrown into the trash to start out this game. What a Lucio pick coming out here from Himsy. And just like that, NIP, they're going to have the advantage here. 65 in their favor. Himsy with 2 hooks to start this out. And it's going to be hard now for Fnatic to actually regain momentum.
Himsy was so close to dead, too. They tried to punish him for it. He had the Discord on him, and they did not finish that kill. Zappos got to take down Hoppy in the end. So right now, it is NIP with the majority of kills. Fraggy takes down his counterpart in Stoop. This is all NIP.
And what more can you ask for when you get that early hook? But Buds bringing it right back, trying to be the hero. It is a battle of hogs right now. And Buds saying, this fight isn't over until I say it's over. Grabs another hook towards the very end. And it's going to be hard for Fnatic to reinforce this in time. It is a very long run back. But even still, it's a lot of time being bought here by Buds. And who knows, the heck? NIP's taking a while to get back in here. Buds might have been the hero that Fnatic needed.
Buds' Roadhog has been nothing short of spectacular this entire tournament. So right now, they are going to charge in. Right, here comes the whole hog to try to bring it back. Buds still going wild.
Buds going crazy well right now. Final hook coming in here from Buds. It's still back and forth on both teams. Hammer down coming in from Fraggy, trying to put this one away. But Fnatic, they're bending here. They're not breaking. They go to the back line, and Matt, unopposed right now, getting the poke in towards the very end, grabs the Ana. And Fnatic, they're doing a great job of holding here, especially given how this began, where Himsy hit the hook of the gods.
It's a great recovery because, as you mentioned, losing your Lucio from that hook right in that position, that's brutal. But I think Custa is going to be a huge part of this entire matchup. I've always thought that Zenyatta could be good, in theory, against NIP to lower the time to kill. You can't let them drag on a fight. There's too much health.
Absolutely. So, NIP right now still trying to find a way through here. Again, it looked like they were going to get in first. They haven't gotten it here just yet, and Bud's been the great boss that they have had to deal with. Meanwhile, you take a look at the rest of how Fnatic is playing right now. They're holding back, and Coolmat not really under a whole lot of pressure here, which is giving Fnatic a lot of room to just push NIP back. Now, Mafu's going on to Graviton. He's looking for it. Graviton will come in, pulls in 3, and here comes NIP. Whole hog out. It is the Cleaver composition, but Custa with the Transcendence keeps all of Fnatic alive during that push. Fnatic not going down here just yet, and Earthshower comes in late from Stoop, and that might have just cleaned it up.
You're seeing Transcend become such an impactful ultimate because that burst damage is so lacking in these compositions. Even an ultimate combination like that, which does so much damage over time. The Graviton into Whole Hog, which can crush teams. Transcend heals so fast, he lives through it. They're gonna have Sound Barrier up next. This hold is looking great for Fnatic.
And again, for Fnatic, they're lucky they even have this hold where it was after first, but they've been holding it down. Next fight, they have Sound Barrier and Tac Visor. NIP starting to run out of time here. They have a Sound Barrier of their own. That's about it. This is actually going to be a very hard fight for the win here, Hex, and they have maybe 2 attempts left.
And they blew everything on that last push that got transcended out of.
It was a phenomenal transcendence by Custa. Kept them alive. Custa, though, under assault here, but the Sound Barrier stops him from dying. A beautiful Sound Barrier coming in here from Vonville. No kills here yet from Fnatic, but now starting to go in. Half it cool, and it's Stoop gets into the party room, drops the hammer. 2 kills here from him. It is a little bit bloody back and forth here. And we'll see if Fnatic can hold on, but it's not looking great for them. Respawns are coming in here from NIP.
They held it as long as they possibly could. Hoppy's still out here, but he is without Mag. Actually gets back in Mag. He gets a couple of kills off of that. Is Hoppy going to go into full hero mode too? It's just the reinforce time is so long for Fnatic. There are only 2 on the point for NIP. They might think about coming back in. Stoop, they're angling to come back in here.
Zenyatta going to be leading the way. Custa was a hero earlier in this map with Transcendence, looking for again. They're in the Transcendence, but they don't care. The Graviton not able to do anything due to that healing. And as a result, here comes Fnatic once more. Halfical picking up the double kill. This is do or die for NIP. No more time is left on the clock. And Fnatic, out of nowhere, one of the best holds we have seen here on Temple of Anubis. They will push NIP back. And Hex, this might be a very short Temple of Anubis.
Just so many big plays. Buds early on brought that back from the brink of absolute collapse and failure. We asked the NIP guys, what do you guys think of D.Va? Is she going to be an issue for you? Because she does work well against other tanks, and you saw Hoppy have huge moments on the D.Va time and again.
And for me, it was great for Hoppy. Certainly had big moments, so did Buds. But my personal hero there, Custa.
Yeah.
The Transcendence is there. Could not have been more crucial, more important for keeping Fnatic alive and in this game. And hey, for a hero that hasn't been getting that much love recently, Custa proving to some extent that Zen is pretty good, because Custa's been on the bandwagon of, no, I don't want to run the Ana, I want to run the Zen. Well, put that one as a check mark in the Zenyatta column.
As recently as less than 12 hours ago, he was having a conversation with his team about why we should only run Zenyatta, why Zenyatta is the best, and I think you put the film up right there and say we should just run Zen.
Well, I will say Uber is a pretty cheerful guy and a pretty happy Australian, but Custa might be a little bit happier right now.
If we had to make a caster team, though, I would have Uber call it, because that voice, I mean, it's just, you get hyped with the Australian calls.
Plus, he can call it, Zenyatta calls real well. It's like balls directly to the head. It's like, thanks, Uber. And it was great.
So this is the Fnatic strategy that I think they're going to run. I overheard a little bit, and we're early late in the tournament, so I can spill the beans, but they like running Sombra and Genji on offense on this map in particular. And we've seen how Sombra can give trouble to NIP in the backlines. It's a kind of halfway dive comp where Sombra's going to be back there. Genji's going to go back there too, so you're not running Winston, you're not necessarily running D.Va, although Matt's coming up on the D.Va. They've got a cool strat here. This is a game plan for Fnatic.
Absolutely. And again, for Fnatic, there's not a whole lot of pressure on them here. They have 4 minutes to take first round Anubis. We don't see full holds here very often. It's incredibly rare. So from Fnatic, you gotta like their odds going forward here. They can just bank these ultimates and go from there. And is this happening? Is Bud's actually coming out here on the Sombra?
He's going to run it. What I really want to see is which big pack is he going to go to, right? Because there's one up top, there's that one there. There's so many options for him to choose from to try to get this ultimate going. We've seen how fast the ultimate charges. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to try to charge, you throw it over, you EMP, and then what are these tanks going to do? EMP.
it's going to be very hard to defend it here. And again, they can really hold on to their ultimates for a long time here. They don't have to worry about saying a very good time. They just need first.
75% on EMP. Already ready.
That is actually insane. And you see Buds right now coming in from the back. Don't think we're going to be seeing the EMP quite yet, but he's just going to build up the last part of his ult, takes a little bit of damage, goes back, grabs a health pack. So even if Fnatic gets pushed out here, which is looking likely as Happy Cool is bit in the dust, but I don't know, they get 2 kills.
Get a couple.
They can actually come back in on this.
Well, Himsy is going to put the end of that because that's both tanks down right there. But Hoppy on this Genji, Hoppy made a bit of a name for himself on the Genji. That's where he did a lot of work. He's played a lot of other heroes really well. The next push is what they were banking up for. That's what they're waiting for. They have EMP ready. A lot is on Buds right now. He's already creeping in the back lines. We'll see exactly how they want to initiate.
Well, right now, he's going to translocate in, has the EMP, hacks everyone nearby, and here comes Fnatic. They were ready. They dove right on top of it. Genji and D.Va in. It is a clean sweep here for Fnatic. Everyone on the point, and this is going to be Fnatic well on their way to taking map #1. Shocking NIP a little bit here with how decisive this really was, Hex.
Very early in Overwatch, we always talked about teams, if you can master a map that not everyone likes and you have a very specific strat, that's already a map in your pocket. And like, look at that.
But here's the thing, Fnatic doesn't like Anubis.
No, but they mastered a strat on it.
They did. And we were talking with Rafflegear just yesterday. He's like, yeah, we don't really like Anubis at all. And that map was a draw when they played against Mouse Sports of all teams.
But they forgot what they wanted to run on it. Raffle was sitting there, I was sitting next to him. He's like, they forgot that he literally said he forgot that they run Sombra Genji. Like, that's their strat, and they just didn't run it, so that's why they ended up drawing. You see, like, they had a plan. That plan, when it works, absolutely crushed.
And that's interesting, too. I mean, with that level of assault map dominance, don't forget, if things go badly here for Fnatic, Volskaya Industries is still creeping in the back.
You were so happy when they picked Volskaya, don't you? You're like, you don't love the map personally, per se, but you love chaos. And Volskaya is...
I thrive on the flames. That's most I could say, is that I want to see the world burn. I want to see players play a map that they're not all that comfortable on. It's really weird, the differences between being a caster and being a player. Players like the tried and true, they don't like surprises. Yeah. As a caster, I love surprises. I love the craziness. I love the upsets. I love defying expectations, and Volskaya Industries, not the most favorite of maps by players, so that makes it all the more interesting if we do end up going.
It's good for the tournament. We haven't seen it yet at all in the tournament. I haven't seen the players even scrimming on it in the player room, so I'm on board, ZP. I'm on board with Volskaya as long as it's not 5 hours of time bank and draws.
That reasoning, by the way, is also why I'm just completely in love with Bastion.
Yeah, well, I'm not on board with that. There's a line, all right? There's a line.
You're not on board with that?
No, not quite.
He's just a misunderstood robot, Hex.
Well, I think we're too similar. I'm a misunderstood robot as well.
That's true.
It is very true.
All right, so we're going to be heading into Dorado here in just a moment. That is the Dorado theme you hear in the background.
One of the best songs in all of Overwatch. I don't know, man. I think NIP has to be a little bit stunned what happened there because they've just been so dominant. One of the things I mentioned, though, about NIP coming into this tournament, they're not going to surprise anyone, and they haven't had to. But against a team like Fnatic, who likes having those set pieces and those game plans, when they know exactly what they're going up against, it can be dangerous.
Absolutely. And for NIP, I mean, it's interesting, too, because they don't really flex too much on their game plan. They have been running this variance of their multi-tank comp for ages. Before it was meta, when it's meta, when it's really in meta, it doesn't matter. I mean, this is their bread and butter. This is the NIP fastball. But Fnatic, back a moment ago on Temple Anubis, they were able to knock it out of the park. So NIP already finding themselves having to work themselves out of a hole.
We might have to be eating our words a little bit, saying like this patch and this meta does favor NIP because we don't really know the power of Sombra yet. We don't. And we just saw the power of Sombra. Tanks, when they're EMP'd, just big balls of meat for the most part. They were getting crushed. We saw the DPS be very effective when they were EMP'd because they can still do damage and they can still left click. Tanks, not so much.
Absolutely not. I mean, tanks really rely on their abilities to do things. Not only that, you take a look at the shield busting ability. Zarya, who has 200 shields in her pool, normally that's great. She gets extra regen. Not so great when you get hit by anything relating to Sombra.
Absolutely. So we'll see what they want to run on Dorado here. It is going to be NIP on the defense first. NIP, again, no surprises. The only person you really have to check on the NIP lineup to see what they're going to run is Zappis. It appears that Zappis wants to run the Mei, throw those walls up instead. But every time you know it's going to be Fraggy, Himsy, Mafu on Reinhardt, Roadhog, Zarya.
Yep, and the interesting thing too is that Mei has not felt like the control queen that she once was. People, it's two things. Not only is she a little bit weaker in this patch, obviously, with the Blizzard nerfs coming in, but there's also the part where teams have gotten used to Mei. I think a lot of the power for heroes early on when they come into vogue, when they're getting used, is that teams don't have the experience versus them. Mei is not a surprise anymore. It's still very good. It can be very solid at stopping a team, but teams have had countless hours of scrim practice to go, here's what the wall is going to do. Here's how you can get around the wall and not find yourself in a terrible position. So she's good, but it's not quite the craziness that once was. Now, I've said all that, watched Zappos have a career game, just despite me, but you know.
I think what they'll probably be looking for on the Fnatic offense here is to find a way to neutralize Mei and then get in and deal with the tanks. Maybe hit a hook early on, maybe even send Hoppy back just to pressure the Mei, force her into Ice Block. While she's in Ice Block, of course, she can't do anything. So that's probably what they're looking for is initiation. But this is a very aggressive defense from NIP.
NIP is up in the faces of Fnatic, and we've seen them do this before, but it is high risk, high reward. And right now, it's looking like they're hitting more of the risk part of it. Bud's immediately taking down Kindle. Respawns are going to be in quickly, and there's a hook. Himsy, maybe actually going to get away. Got the hook, but the fault was right there. Gets a hook of his own, but this is really rough for NIP. It's not as decisive as they would like it to be for how far up they are.
Well, Frag is trying to turn it back. Those last 3 kills that he just got there actually made that hold very worthwhile. When they're just trading, it's a little bit iffy. He's going to give up too much space to the offense, but this super aggressive hold, this is something we rarely see, but some teams have a hard time breaking this.
The interesting thing is I was about 1 kill away from going the other way, so NIP is riding the razor's edge right now. It does work out for them. It gives them a bit of buffer. They win the ult charge there, but this is so risky where Fnatic, they just get 1 early pick off and go from there. They can turn this in a flash, and then NIP's not going to have to hold in the courtyard.
Right, and so Himsy that is Hoppy who got slept and then woken immediately, gets back into the fray. Cool Matt gets a couple kills really early. They get grabbed. Is Fraggy going to be able to clean up enough? Of course, Fraggy is able to clean up enough, cleaving the hammer. 3 kills for Fraggy. That is 6 total for Fraggy on this first defense right now. And this NIP strat somehow working.
It is the most simple of cleanups with a Zarya ultimate, but one of the best in terms of Reinhardt just coming in, swinging the hammer, no escape from shot after shot, and 3 swings is all it really takes to kill most of the heroes in the game. But here we go, Earthshatter in from Frag. You got to knock down at least 2 there, letting NIP push up once more, and Fnatic having to struggle for every little bit they get right now on the Strato. And NIP, from their aggressive defense, they've bought themselves 2 minutes here.
I have no idea how Buds does not finish off Fraggy there. Fraggy does go down eventually, but now Himsy's back into the fight as well. They are holding so far forward. Right now, Fnatic is struggling for answers. That hook is not going to help them at all. As soon as you see them switch to Tracer, you know that something has gone awry. Buds is now off that Tracer onto Roadhog again.
And remember, this is classic NIP in general. When we were talking to them, what defines them? A lot of tank play, a lot of experience, a lot of aggression. Well, you don't get more aggressive than what they have right now, but taking a look at the Fnatic side of things, half a cool, moving forward, has self-destruct at the ready, gonna be looking to open things up at the bank. Blizzard comes in though, it's gonna zone out a lot of Fnatic here, but Stu pulling Fraggy on a ride. Reinhardt versus Reinhardt. Hammers ahoy right now, and Stoop will be winning that battle. As a result, here comes Fnatic. They got the pickups they needed to get. NIP now getting forced back, and this is the downside to being this far up, is that now it's questionable if they can come back in and actually have a good hold here on first. They will be able to get back to a point in time, but their position is going to give Fnatic a few opportunities to turn it back the other way, and no better person to do that than Stoop with that Earthshatter.
You see Custa on the Ana. It's actually played a pivotal role too, because that bio grenade's been so crucial. They're doing so much damage to these tanks, but they're healing their ways out of it. That bio grenade stopped it. They're able to finally clean up Himsy, who is into that fight. This is not over yet, though. They have to win this fight yet again. 45 seconds left. If they don't win this, they're going to be first hell on Dorado.
This is a must-win fight here for Fnatic. The Earthshatter comes in immediately here. But look at this, NIP coming in off the sound barrier. They're able to grab Stoop immediately. Fraggy setting up the 6v5. Cool Matt's with the tac visor in the back. Does grab Mafu. It's not quite as much as he'd want, but it is a close fight. It's 5v5, and Fnatic now starting to clutch it out, pulling it back. They would stand against the sound barrier, and Cool Matt, nothing really stopping him from just laying in shot after shot and keeping Fnatic in this game.
They should be able to get this. The bio grenade goes down yet again. Only supports up on the point as the Blizzard is going to come down. Buds with a couple of cleanups. Zupe does find himself killed. They are not giving up the stuff for free, though. The tanks are back in here. There is a boosted Mei on the field. She gets slept and not woken. The grab is coming in, though, and who's better to follow up the grab? It's Fraggy yet again swinging the hammer.
Oh my goodness, NIP able to come in at the last moment, just when it looks like Fnatic was going to bring it forward. They do not. A last moment self-destruct comes out, will get shielded away, and NIP at the last moment, the aggressive defense pays off, and Hex is 1 full hold going to be answered with another.
It very well might be. Uber said on the desk earlier that NIP likes to be aggressive on chokes and holding the point. I would take it a step further and say if NIP is on the map, they're going to be aggressive. If NIP is in the game, they're going to be aggressive.
You don't get any more aggression than what they had there. I think the only Dorado game I can think of where you had even more aggression was a very ill-fated, envious Complexity game where they were literally at the spawn doors. But, I mean, other than that, that was great from NIP, and it sort of defines their playstyle and shows the difference in their multi-tank comp versus many other teams' multi-tank comps where they are just in your face constantly.
And it's hard to break, and they healed out of so much of it. There were so many close calls. Very early on, Himsy almost died, and then he took a breather. They tried to hook him in, but Mafu was there to help him and give him the shield and keep him alive. I think Mafu gets a little underrated and overlooked in this composition because Himsy is the one who's always hitting hooks. Fraggy's always on the cleanup, and Fraggy's the frontline raid boss. But why is he the raid boss? Because Zupe's healing him constantly, because Mafu gives him the shield. Mafu saves lives on this team. They run the two supports, but Mafu is that ultimate utility there. He's got Graviton up more often than not. It's just crazy how well all these tanks work together. And yes, that forward hold is very aggressive, but if you even get full wipe there, it's not over because you have time to come back. It's just absolutely incredible what NIP did. The most aggressive team I've seen in a long time, and you're just playing tanks like no one else plays tanks.
Absolutely. Now, I will say that today has been a day of surprises. We've seen things we wouldn't expect to see. Hex, how likely are we to see Fnatic come back here and have a even better hold here on Dorado?
Better hold than that? Unlikely? Is there a negative number I can put to that? I don't think you have a better hold than that. That was absolutely insane, but I wouldn't be surprised at anything by this point. Like, nothing would surprise me. Hoppy's on McCree, not even surprised.
The thing about this is, though, when you have the McCree there, that's another target here for Zappos coming in, where Zappos is going to be looking for early pickoffs. It's another good target for Himsy as well. And even if it's more damage that they're going to have available for them, I just feel like eventually the numbers will catch up to them, and McCree's going to catch an arrow to the head, or Soldier, or a hook, and that would be it, because all NIP has to do here is win one fight.
It's not going to be difficult for them, but they're going to try to go down into the archway and fight down there. So far, a rather bloodless fight on both sides here, as they do just kind of give up the archway for free. Very passive so far defense for Fnatic.
Fnatic showing the other side of the Dorado defense coin. Unfortunately, they don't have that much room to work with, but they're making their stand here in the courtyard. They must be perfect here, Hex. They lose even one team fight, this game is going to be over. And right now, both teams actually, they're poking back and forth, and neither team really committing. They're taking their time, and we'll see if this favors Fnatic or not, but losing one that early. Buds is gone. And a 65, NIP has a great opportunity here. The finish is right here, right now, as Himsy just carves through the backline. Hex, that might be it.
That early entry kill is brutal. Hoppy does pick up a kill, but it will be the only kill for Fnatic on Dorado defense. You know, after some of the sets we cast this tournament this weekend, apparently defense does exist, CP.
Defense coming in here in a hurry. It's basically the polar opposite of the Complexity Penta series where no one was able to defend. Well, here, both Fnatic and NIP, really good defense. And this is a best out of 5 Hex, but feels like we've only done half the map thus far.
Well, de facto best out of 3 now as it's tied up 1-1, and it is flying through here. I'm lost for words. So we're gonna take a little bit of break. Raffle's gonna get his team back together. This is something that is a very Fnatic thing. They take breaks, they talk it out. Forget that last map, that doesn't matter. We're in a best of 3 now, focused moving forward. I think that coaching in Overwatch has been valuable. Every team here, for the most part, has a coach.
Absolutely, and the thing about coaching too is that it is something that's evolving, and obviously teams have different levels of coaches, right? Some coaches are empowered, some coaches not so much. Just having that neutral party there to actually go in there and, you know, at least moderate arguments, not have it so you have a leader of the team, because that can actually be bad. If you have one player that's holding himself about all others, but then he needs criticism to improve his play, that's not good. Yeah. That's where a coach comes in, and the coach will be like, yeah, you know, here's my view on it, here's objectivity coming in, and as to why people are having issues.
Hierarchy, structure, mediation, there's a lot of things brought in there. Our next map will be Numbani. So we're going to the labs, EP. This pool, I feel, was specifically designed for us, because I've always loved Dorado and Hollywood, because I like to see the sunshine, because we cast for 9 hours a day, and I have curtains over my windows. You love Volskaya. We got to see some Anubis. Like, this is tailor-made.
Well, for me, again, I'm just kind of hoping the series goes to 5, because then we're guaranteed to get our Volskaya game. No, that'd be great.
Numbani should be fun, though. It's always fun. I never know what to expect. I could see Numbani 10 times a day, and on the 11th map, I would still not know exactly what to expect. That's just how variant it is, how different teams play it.
The other thing, too, is Numbani probably has the most momentum of any form of escort or hybrid map that's around. It's a map where a team can really just get a very first point attack that goes super well, and then just ride it all the way to the end and not really be stopped. Now, on the opposite end, you do have really good holds that come out on last as well, so you see a lot of different ways that Numbani can go down.
And conversely, there's teams that will take first point and never get it around that bend and get spawn camped right there, because their spawns are right there, and then the defensive spawns, if they can hold right there as well. So Numbani is, as we've always mentioned, kind of a wild card here. This set is already everything I wanted it to be. That we're seeing defense, we're seeing NIP play super aggressive, we're seeing Fnatic with those strats that they have. I want to see all 5, for sure.
Absolutely, and for NIP, it's a case where you kind of know what to expect from them when you're a team that's facing them. You know what they're going to be running in terms of tanks. The question is actually stopping it reliably. Now, for Numbani, I actually wouldn't mind seeing a Sombra come out here again from the side of Fnatic, where Sombra can be that effective at giving you a really early ult advantage, because seeing how quickly teams can build ult. If you can get the first ultimate up, dive in on Numbani, get that EMP, win the first fight, not just somewhat, but actually really decisively, you could actually turn that into a big snowball, and I'd be curious to see that be a thing. Don't know if Fnatic's going to go for it, but...
Well, 2 things about Sombra we know for certain is that she should, in all cases, get her ult up before everyone else. Significantly so. 20%, 30% so. So you have a huge advantage just there. And a Sombra ultimate will lead to a decisive team fight. You're either winning that 6-0 or 5-1, something like that, because EMPs have been that decisive, especially if you start getting more combinations in it later in the map when other people do have their ultimates up. Ninjas, Pyjamas, Kappa, Twitch chat, Twitch chat.
You know, for me, I know we don't do it as much here on a more official broadcast, but I love pandering the Twitch chat, man. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I think we're pretty close to 30,000 viewers right now. A lot of people enjoying Overwatch here at DreamHack in person. Give it up for those guys there. And everyone watching at home, thank you so much for making this a big event.
It's like Twitch chat live for you. You're amongst your people. ZP loves Twitch chat more than anyone I've ever seen love anything, really.
Even more than Bastion, just a little.
Just a little bit.
It's great. I mean, the thing is, though, it's the viewers that make it happen, right? Without the viewers, we're just 2 guys talking to ourselves.
Which would still happen. Even without viewers, we'd probably still be watching and casting Overwatch. I know that even when all us casters are together and we're like at dinner, we just talk about Overwatch anyway. It's getting to the point of sad. If I didn't love it so much, it'd be sad.
Well, the thing is, too, is that there actually is no reprieve, right? When I go to sleep, I dream about Overwatch.
Legitimately.
Yes.
Like 100%, yeah, because you just can't turn it off.
No.
I know,
But then you get the dreams where you do something terrible on cast. Like, the entire, like, oh, I'm casting with no pants. It's like, I've had that dream. That's a real dream, Hex.
I guess the dream could be reality, ZP. No one would ever know. They only film us from the waist up for the most part, so who knows? I don't have dreams about casting. I have dreams that I'm good at Overwatch, where I get like these amazing Tracer plays, where I actually hit a pulse bomb and a support.
You know, those are dreams, and don't let your dreams be dreams, Hex. Someday.
Those dreams are very likely stay dreams. My pulse bombs find more dirt than they find Lucio's, that is for sure.
Someday, Hex, someday.
One day, I'll keep trying.
So right now, we're just getting shots of the crowd. We're waiting for players to get ready. We're going to be hanging the Bonnie series right now, 1-1 for those who are tuning in. This is the DreamHack Overwatch Championship. You're watching NIP versus Fnatic, 2 of the top teams in the game, duking it out here in person. We're going to find out which of these 2 teams will head to the grand finals in just a little bit.
I believe the full name is Overwatch Championship at DreamHack Winter, powered by GTX.
There you go.
I think I also forgot part of it, but something like that. Can we just still, again, I know every time he's on camera we talk about it, but the hat. The hat has to be like the secret power. And I think it is like part of like, it's something sort of like a totem or a relic that gives them power, because it cannot be removed.
There's 2 relics in the Overwatch scene. First, you have, of course, the legendary hat that we see Mafu wearing on NIP.
Yeah.
But then there's also a Soldier 76 jacket that I think it was one of the staffers that had back at the Overwatch World Cup. But I tell you, that jacket had really special powers. Teams that wore that jacket, they won.
So was there a bidding war on the jacket then?
No, it just sort of went to different teams randomly. Like when Australia was able to go over Chinese Taipei,
right?
It was Muselk who was wearing that jacket, and that was the part where, you know, Uber got super pumped, went up there, gave them hugs and all the rest. But as good as they were playing, it was the jacket.
Where is the jacket now?
That's a good question.
Is it in that warehouse, like at the end of Indiana Jones, where all the secret, you know, like the giant boxes and boxes of all the secret relics and mystery items in the world?
It's hard to say, man. All I know is that there was a bunch of people that were asking the owner of that jacket where they could get one, how it could be made, because it wasn't official. I think it was like a custom-made sort of cosplay jacket.
It's being guarded by top men. Top men, I tell you.
Alrighty, so again, we're just waiting for both teams to get all their players ready. There was a little bit of a bio break, but 1-1, this is a series worth waiting for, and who knows what's going to happen in the bonding. It is the lab.
Winner of this has to go against Misfits, and after watching Misfits play today, I do not think that either team would be excited to play against Misfits. Even if you know like what they're gonna run, which you kind of do at this point, it's a super frustrating style to play against. Like, it's like mosquitoes. Like, I wanna see, like, NIP versus this is mosquitoes everywhere against the giant water buffalo trying to swat at it.
The biggest problem is dealing with Soon, right? Where Soon is very quickly becoming this transcendent tracer that, and it's nothing new to him too. I mean, he's been absolutely massive today, but then you look back to earlier competitions like E-League in Atlanta, where one of the very final plays was Soon coming in, pulse bomb on the ground, blows up 3 people, wins the biggest tournament to date. So it's nothing new to Soon, but it almost feels like he's leveled up and is even more fearsome on that tracer.
Well, as we mentioned in the intro, both of these teams looking for their big first LAN victory to really establish themselves. There's some people in the scene that think the only things that matter are LANs. I tend to disagree with that, but Misfits has already done it, so they have the pressure off of them. They're kind of playing a little bit with house money. Of course, they want to win more tournaments, but these teams, regardless of who goes on to face Misfits, a lot of pressure on them to really prove themselves officially.
Alrighty, well, we are back into game here. Numbani is going to be the battleground. Fnatic going to be on the defense first. And take a look at this here. Nothing too surprising. You're going to have Cool Matt here on the Soldier. Bud's on the McCree. Now, that catches me a little bit off guard, given what we know NIP likes to run here. Because, again, it gives a lot of targets for that hook, where Bud's going to have to be really far back and not really expose himself too much. He will have the power to get on anything that's in the back line, but we'll have to see exactly where this goes. I would probably prefer the Roadhog, but maybe he just doesn't want to challenge Himsy to that hog battle.
I mean, double hit scan can be good, but you have to do all that damage in such quick succession. The shot calling and target selection has to be absolutely on point for this. They're going to have to get discorded, and Buds and Cool Matt both have to hit shots on whatever target that is and take them down, because these tank pools are just too high health to just rely on poke damage all the way through. It doesn't work that way, not against NIP. The only thing that surprised me about NIP is that there's only 4 tanks and not 5. The dream will be real one day. And oddly enough, D.Va would be great on this map.
Absolutely. I mean, the 5 tanks, 1 Ana. I think about that and sort of...
I'm the only one who wants to see it, but I do.
You might be the only one, but we have NIP right now. They go through the bottom entrance, getting onto that point, but you look at Fnatic, they're perfectly happy to stand in their crossfire and go, all right, we're just going to lay down shots on you, come out when you want to, but you're going to pay a price. For now, though, NIP, still pretty good HP, and they have 1 on the point, which means Fnatic, someone has to drop down and contest this, otherwise they'll give up a 3rd for free.
Well, they're in position to drop down and contest if they want to. I think that is absolutely cool. Matt's call, just where he is and where the team is, that's where he's calling it out. Himsy's looking for that hook up above them. They might even give up a 3rd for free if they still feel like it, but they're just getting absolutely peppered for Cool Matt. At some point, you have to think that Zappos is going to jump him.
You'd think so, but NIP right now, they're taking their time. Fnatic not going to make the first move, and NIP, they roll in with that Nano Boost. Zappos, Empowered Monkey going in. It gets taken out immediately, though. Buds is right there, and Fnatic, they're waiting for NIP to make the first move, but they're right there at the punish, and they deal with this engagement that came in through the bottom.
You know, it's been so long since we've seen McCree really rely on Fan the Hammer that we forget how good it was against tanks. It is less good now, but it's still a lot of burst damage you can put on a tank, especially a Discord and a Fan the Hammer. That is a quick solution if you're in close quarters.
Absolutely, and Hex, what do you think right now of NIP's assault? Do you think they're going to change anything up, at least come from a different angle?
You'd have to think that going through the stairs did not work out. It was very tentative. They're going the exact same place, but I think you're going to see a quicker jump. You have to deal with Cool Matt at some point. You cannot leave a soldier up there doing whatever he wants.
Absolutely not, especially not when he has that attack visor. And for now, he's going to hold on to it. He doesn't need to use it until they actually come out of that bottom area. And here we go. Attack visor is on. He has him in his sights. And already, Bud's taking down Fraggy. They're down to Reinhardt, and they have to back out. So, I mean, part of it is that they don't want to challenge Cool Matt's attack visor, but the other thing is that down to Reinhardt, probably not going to win that 5v6.
Well, they traded out. Hoppy did go down there in his Devo, but he'll be back in this fight. Already back in the fight, actually. They do go for the hook. Hoppy does get dragged in, so Hoppy's just the one on the ground kind of draining out their abilities. He's baiting out hooks or anything. They've had no answer to deal with Matt or get on this high ground. It's a really cool positioning that they're working with this Fnatic.
Absolutely, and right now, Bud's hanging here in the back, drawing the fire to Winston. He's giving another target for Winston to go on, but Winston not able to get what he's looking for. He's headshot after headshot, goes down the Buds. Deadeye comes out, doesn't get too much, but Fnatic looking very much in control, and Hex, with a minute 20 left, if Fnatic holds on here, which it's looking very likely, based on Matt just doing whatever he wants, I mean, are we going to see another defensive hold? 3 in a series here?
They've got one last push, that's about it, but they're going to be pushing into 2. However, now all the ults for the tanks for NIP are lining up. Matt is about 5 seconds away from having to sign a lease. He's just lived up, they've done nothing to get him off of that top ground, and this is where Soldier has always feasted on Numbani.
Cool squatter 69 right now, that's all I got to say. But here comes NIP once more. Mafu holding on to that Graviton, just looking for a place to put it, but Fnatic so spread out, I don't know he's gonna actually find anything right now. They're making it very difficult for him. And here's Matt right now. He hasn't moved from that spot, has the tac visor. And again, Fnatic doing the best of wiping out NIP, and NIP's gone down to one final attack.
I totally underestimated Buds here. He has been absolutely huge on this McCree. He's hitting headshots when he needs to. And that burst damage, it is kind of like when Buds used to play Reaper. You know, up close, get that burst in. Fan the Hammer is like one Hellfire shotgun. I guess, you know, working with what you got tool-wise, but this hold is going absolutely great. I guess Matt is invisible. Only the spectators can see him or something. They've done nothing to even pressure Matt.
Everyone thought Sombra was the invisibility hero with that camo, but right now, Matt, I mean, he's been feasting up here. NIP, final attack on the way. They're going to open up here the sound barrier and hope. Zappis will be looking for knockoffs, has Primal Rage. Sound barrier's in. Here comes NIP. Fnatic again, they're just spread out here. The self-destruct, gonna take down Fraggy, already at 6v5, and Matt finally under a little bit of pressure. Winston in his face, pushing him back. And at the very least, it's keeping out of the fight. But while they're doing that, Buds is in the back, grabs one kill, and does enough to keep Fnatic in this fight.
Well, Mafu did switch off Azario, which was getting almost nothing done, is onto a D.Va instead, so they have more of a dive composition. Matt still comes back in here, though, and this is all going Fnatic's favors. Hafi has actually played a great game on this D.Va, so much so they give him 2 names on screen. That is another first point, full hold. What is this world, ZP?
I just feel like every game we've casted together today, which admittedly is now a sample size of 2, weird stuff, man. Everything from Penta and Complexity having this ridiculous showdown of offenses where they both almost complete King's Row twice. And now we have this situation with Fnatic and NIP where they're coming out with just incredible defense, but to have 3 first point holds, one after another, with them being done by different teams in the same series, is this real life?
It's bonkers. Do you think they were too late switching on to the D.Va there?
I would say so. I mean, NIP, it just feels like they were really committed to going through the bottom, and Fnatic, whether it be coaching, game planning, or what, they were perfectly positioned to deal with it, and it didn't seem like NIP was all that adaptable. And that might be part of NIP's issue, too, is that, like I said, if they were a pitcher in baseball, they'd be the pitcher that has one incredibly good pitch. They're effectively the Mariano Rivera of Overwatch right now. But unfortunately, they are getting hit on here, and it's not necessarily working out for them.
Well, I believe we're going to see a Torbjorn, so I pronounce it, which is likely incorrect, like most of the things I pronounce. But, you know, I've got my own style, but it does appear that we are going to see a turret on the map. However, they're going to run at D.Va, and D.Va's really good against Tor, but this is a kind of old-school Numbani look. There is that turret. Matt might as well have been a turret up there because he was had more health, he had a better hit game, better game sense overall than a turret, I think. I just cannot believe they let him sit up there for so long.
Who needs CoolMat69 up there signing a lease when you can just put a turret? Realistically, I mean, I want all the faith in the world towards this Torbjorn. I love seeing Torbjorn in play, and there was a point where you'd see Torbjorn on the Numbani all the time, but here's the problem. D.Va's in play. Half-a-Cool is just going to walk up to that turret, say what's up, and immediately get rid of it, so I don't know if this is the best here for NIP.
Well, it's going to get stronger as it goes on, though, because can you imagine all of these tanks with armor as well? And he's going to generate armor passively now, post-patch. If they get a couple kills, that's going to be some armor on the ground, so it could get real bad real quick.
And for Fnatic, again, there's no pressure for them here right now. Worst case scenario for them here would be a counter hold, which would be a draw and we go the tiebreaker, but they have all the time in the world. They don't have to worry about the perfect attack. They can just take their time, look for an opening, and go from there. They're also going in through the bottom here, so we'll see how NIP deals with it. I don't think they're in quite the similar crossfire that Fnatic was, though. No. Fnatic gets right in immediately and actually draws them into that building and immediately punishes them for it.
Yeah, that was a beautiful bait. They actually baited in the charge and then kind of cleaned them up in there. This is a nice rotation all the way through. They weren't slow getting over there. They would see Discord and deleted constantly, not in the kill feed, but MVP again is very likely Custa. Everyone with a purple balloon over their head is dying.
That was brutal. They fainted like they were going to be going into the room. It baited several members of NIP in, and then they just got crushed in the room. I hate to go for an old cliche phase here, but that was definitely an outbaited, outsmarted moment. And Fnatic right now looking like they're going to be taking this first point. If they do, they're going to be taking the Bonnie and Hex. They do just that. Fnatic now up 2-1 in the series. Been what can only be described as a little bizarre thus far.
That was absolutely insane. They were decisive, though. That was the difference there. They both went up bottom stairs, and when it seemed like NIP was just hanging out, doing whatever, apparently not seeing cool Matt 69, they chose a different angle. They got their DPS in a good position to do more work. Matt just hung out back there. The charge came in, and then every single one of the targets who died in that fight got discorded and killed.
My mind is just a little bit blown right now. I mean, this has been a great showcase of defense from both of these teams, but I don't think anyone could have predicted that the series would quite turn out like it's turning out right now.
Look, you and I, in our day, have seen a lot of Overwatch games.
Yes.
I think that's indisputable. Neither of us expected what we're seeing today. This is not how we thought this set was going to go.
So this is a case where if we had all sorts of crazy historical stats, we could go odds of first point hold, and it's probably along the lines of 5%, 10%. It's not very high when teams are relatively evenly matched. And yet we have 3 of them, one after another here in the same series. And Hex, we know the next map. Unfortunately, it's not Volskaya, but it will be Hollywood.
Well, almost kind of fortunately if you like Volskaya, because NIP has been very good at this map for a very long time. And it's a map that, you know, by all odds, they probably should win. I don't know if they'll do it on a first point hold. I would not count on anything from Fnatic right now. If they can take high ground and Matt can put on his cloaking device again, I think anything is possible. I'm still baffled that so many times we see McCree's and Soldiers just hang out and do whatever.
I mean, honestly, right now, if pigs started flying, I wouldn't be surprised. But that just means a Roadhog ran into another Roadhog and was sent on a sky trip. But either way.
So if we see a wonky kind of ragdoll of a Roadhog, I'm going to think you're a witch, and I'm going to run out of the building. I swear it.
I mean, there are pyrotechnics in the building. You could just burn me.
That's very possible.
I mean, do the world a favor.
At this point, I'm pretty certain that you're immune to fire. I think maybe a stake through the heart would be the only way.
See, I'm from Minnesota. I thought it was just immune to the cold.
Yeah, we do have the perk. I think everyone from a region gets a perk.
Yeah.
So we're immune to the cold. We've been fine here in Sweden, whereas Uber has been chilly the entire time. But I think if Uber was bitten by something poisonous or venomous, whichever one that phrase is, he'd be fine because he's got the Australian perk.
Everything in Australia can kill you.
Yes.
It just feels like...
Especially Uber.
Especially him. I mean, rumor has it he does carry around a very large knife.
That's not a knife. This is a knife. Well, we are headed into Hollywood. It should be a first point hold based on what we've seen so far.
I mean, that has been the trend thus far. It's not very likely in Hollywood, but hey, who needs reason right now when you have a trend being developed? So everything going forward here, NIP is the first one to defend. Is NIP going to get that first point defense? Who knows? Well,
this is their standard defense on Hollywood. Again, the NIP composition, you just look at Zappis, because everyone else runs the exact same thing every single time. So Zappis is going to run Mei. They're going to try to hold the front choke.
NIP, nothing too crazy here, but it will be Zappis, as you mentioned, going for that control style of defense. And the key there is that you want to funnel people through an area where Himsy can be a little bit cavalier with his hooks, throw them out in advance, try and pick off when people are going to be going through a limited degree of paths.
So is Bud's going to run this offensive Pharah? Because I like offensive Pharah on this map, and I think she's good, especially against the team NIP. Again, NIP is not surprising anyone. You know exactly what they run. You know they run Mei on their defense here. Or is he just trying to get me excited so he can switch last second?
It's hard to say. I mean, there was a point where Buds was one of the better Widows in the game.
No,
however,
Pharah.
He's going to go with the Pharah.
Yeah, we are going to see the Pharah. He's going to come up over top. I think they're going to look for early kills, just pressure the backline. Not really any answers to him either. And now Pharah's a little bit stronger as well. They're going to actually boop them forward, try to just get very aggressive here. That gets them all out of sorts, and they avoid the Mei wall for the most part.
Maywall's coming out to begin with. Bud's not going down here just yet. Doing a little bit of juggling with the Sparrow, but pulled right in by Himsy. NIP, after they threw down the wall, they do exactly what you're supposed to do after a Maywall comes down, where they come in, they don't give you any breathing room, and they look for the immediate pickoff. But Fnatic, they're actually just rotating around, going on to that point. Every team just running circles around the point right now, but it's definitely going in NIP's favor, and Himsy just getting any hook he wants right now.
It's ring around the rosy, and it's Fnatic dying in piles right now. Cool Matt does get a kill towards the end of Mafu, but that it was an ill-fated offense from the very start. Because it took them a little bit too long on their rotation, they were unable to kill Fraggy quickly enough. They got walled off, then Himsy came in with the hooks, and once Himsy comes in, it's over.
All right, so Fnatic moving in once more. They will have the full reset. Matt not going to be hitting that original hook there. And NIP, they're being really aggressive on this defense, and that's what you need to do if you want to have that shot of that first point hold. Hammer coming down here from Fraggy, knocks down Cool Matt, sets up Himsy to move forward. And Hex, I mean, I know this is early. There's still 2.5 minutes left, but if we see another first point hold, I don't even know what I'm going to do with myself.
This is the map that put the idea in my head that Fraggy is actually a raid boss in a game, because every time anyone comes through, he's always got charge up, or he's got ultimate at the ready because he does so much damage, and he gets empowered by his team so often. Bio Grenade comes in, he gets the shield, he gets the charge, and then you have to deal with it. He becomes super powered all the time, and if you don't deal with Fraggy, everyone else is going to kill you anyway.
All right, well, here comes NIP. They have the Graviton Surgeon pulling in 3 members of Fnatic. Fnatic, though, with the whole hog, keeping back NIP. They don't let NIP get the fall through. It's a great counter coming out from Matt. Unfortunately, they did take a lot of damage to start that out. They have to back up for a little bit, but it's Buds over the top, gets on the Zuppy, and here's Cool Matt now. Hook after hook, picks up 2, and Fnatic might be moving in to take this point. And if they do, shout out to Cool Matt for stopping the worst of that Graviton Surge.
I think the key to taking down NIP in any single fight is to take down Zupe. When Zupe is alive, he keeps his entire team alive. That is so much burst damage, and the Bio Grenade just absolutely wrecks teams. He hits Bio Grenades on 4 people, 5 people, 6 people consistently. If you can take out Zupe from this equation, the front line is going to be the front line, but you can make the front line weaker by taking out the back line.
Absolutely. Now, Buds, here's a question here, X. Do you think that they have enough to deal with Buds here? They do have Ana, who can pressure Buds a bit, but then they give up the big healing per second on their front line.
I think maybe, I don't know. I think Buds can do a lot of work here. Zappas can get some icicles maybe, and they have hooks. You always have a counter when you're running an Ana enough to pressure out Buds, but so far he's been running wild. There's no way he's switching off it before we get at least a barrage.
Right now, moving forward, looking for the hook. Not going to get to start things off. The defense has dropped the beat, and what in the world? That's a flying ice cube in the air. We're not going to question that too much, but NIP trying to hold on here. They are a little bit outgunned. The offense staying in here at the point, and it's Cool and Cool Matt playing those tanks to the ability on the payload, able to clean things out. And again, flying May, it's not quite the flying Roadhog we wanted, but, you know, priorities. But I will note this, we are past first point, Hex. Just as a note, we're not going to get another crazy first point hold, at least not to open up the map.
Yeah, tragic. Buds does switch off right now, and he is off of the Pharah onto the 76, but I think he's still going to try to get the high ground. You can get him high ground up there, but they've already shown NIP that they have no real answers to a high ground 76.
Fraggy right now making this room the party room, swinging the hammer. Not a party you really want to attend. Gets 1 kill, holds the hammer, hammer down, knocks down 3, and Fraggy has been beastly with the hammer this entire series long. And again, look at how aggressive NIP is being here. They're practically the Fnatic spawn door. NIP.
But they're at the spawn door.
Yeah, but they're actually now there. He takes that shit. Fraggy, please, they have families.
What they do with Fraggy? So Earthshatter is one of the best ultimates in the game. Bar none, it's amazing. It can absolutely wreck an entire team. And he gets so many kills. That gets it up all the time.
They are still at the spawn doors. I just want to note this. Mafu's looking for the Graviton to move forward here. I don't even know anymore, but Mafu taking down Snoop immediately. They're making this work. Fnatic can't get out of their spawn. And Buds with the nano boost thinks he's going to do something. Then it's nap time.
It's so hard to break out of your spawn because you don't practice against this very often. It doesn't happen very often, so what do you do to switches? They might have to run a Bastion just to get out of their spawn. It looks like NIP is finally going to retreat, but even had NIP been punished there for being far forward, look how far the card is. They would have been back on the card by the time that they were able to get there anyway. It is zero risk for the defense in that situation.
And they bought so much time there. Now that said, Mafu does let himself get picked off by Buds. Hammer comes down by Fraggy, not quite as effective as the last ones. Fnatic has had enough. They are pushing this back forward. Buds taking this, guys. No one up right now that can deal with him super well unless he gets hooked. The hook just catching him on the tiniest of angles. And Himsy making this no-fly zone. Still, though, Fnatic keeping things going forward. The D.Va self-destructing and zone people off this payload.
They did have to use a couple ults there to get through, and now it's only Himsy alive. Himsy's pretty good, but not that good as Hoppy finds him in the corner and guns him down. Most alive right now for Fnatic as they continue to move forward. Buds has been hooked a lot of times, but they're going to stay on it because they want to control the high ground. Matt is up there. They're going to put Buds up there too. NIP, if they have one fatal flaw, it's that they don't necessarily always like running a Winston or a D.Va. They have their 3 tanks that they love. Those are the 2 tanks that can get and control high ground. They don't necessarily run either of them very often.
Fnatic now definitely has a great positional edge, as you're mentioning. They have the Pharaoh over the top. Matt right now, we know how he gets when he gets to a high ground. Not going to remove him. Really hard infestation to deal with. But Bud's now coming in over the back, holding onto the barrage. Going to be looking for it here. Meanwhile, Fraggy moving forward, has the nano boost, swing the hammer, takes down Custa, but Justice raining in over the top. Buds gets one, looking for a little bit more. It's back and forth right now between the 2 teams, but with Matt and Buds unaccounted for, Fnatic has tools to keep the momentum going.
Right, Buds is still up there doing a lot of damage. Matt did go down during that, but they still have half of their DPS. It is 3v3 on the cart right now, but it's kind of the 3 that NIP does not want there necessarily. Zube takes down Buds.
Well, right now we are in overtime. Fnatic cannot back off any longer, but the Blizzard is going to force their hand. Zones out the remaining people. And you take a look at this, Bonneville sacrifices his body for the cause, but ends up dying right on the payload. So it's NIP, not quite a first point hold, but still a very respectable hold right before second.
Well, this is still going to be 0.4, you know, it's set 0.4 Fnatic. They went through, they get to the end here.
Now let me ask you this, even though NIP wasn't running typical heroes and shutting down Afera, do you think that was all that effective from Buds? Because I feel like there were times where it felt like he should have been getting a lot done.
Yeah.
But didn't quite hit the mark.
I don't know, it's Pharah. Like, you get what you can with Pharah right now. It's always been difficult to run her, so you either, like, Pharah's either you're wrecking everyone and they have no answer for you, and you and Mercy are just having a party together up in the skies and no one has anything for you, or you're getting a little bit chip damage done. I think Buds was fine on it. It wasn't great, it wasn't the end all be all, but they have enough answers. You're always gonna run into an answer for Pharah because everyone runs Ana, especially NIP. Yeah, NIP always runs Ana. They always have Ana, so you're already running into a soft counter. It's a little bit tough to run Pharah in this current patch.
I tend to agree, and I mean, it's also a case there where I feel like when you run Pharah, you really need to run something that's even more aggressive than the other team. You want to be diving into the back line, getting on support immediately. Bud's is sort of playing the passive in the back Pharah. And I just think that anytime we've seen Pharah be really effective, the Pharah is really not caring about what they have on the other side. But the problem is that when you're running a Roadhog like Himsy, it's really difficult for Buds to actually dive in without getting hooked right in.
It is, but you have to make those trades. I think you're absolutely correct that not enough people run Pharah like the flanker that she is, really, because you have Tracer who's a flanker, Genji's a flanker. I think you run her the same way. She's a sky flanker. She comes in from over the top on a different angle. That's why you use your blast to get in position. If you can take down the supports on the backlines, which now in the patch is a little bit easier with the Pharah because of the damage, the minimum damage increase, then you're already doing your job and you have to understand that. But I don't know, I'm just happy I saw some Pharah. I'm not gonna nitpick it. I got to see some Pharah.
I'm trying to make you say bad things about Pharah here, and I know it just tears you apart on the inside.
It's not gonna happen. It's simply not gonna happen.
All right, so we are getting in here. Fnatic will be taking to the defense, and hey, there's still a possibility of another first point hold here, but NIP, they're being super aggressive, wasting zero time getting through the archway. They want to give Himsy as many shots with this hook as possible. It's on a 6-second cooldown. And Himsy right now, he'll go for hooks that might be lower percentage where he thinks, you know what, maybe I can get them through that shield. Maybe I can find something, but it's gonna be Buds with the first hook. Finds Mafu early on, and Fnatic, they bend really far back. They've conceded a lot of space to NIP. Not anywhere near as aggressive as NIP, but they find their moment from that hook from Buds to move in and clean house.
What I was trying to say earlier is Fnatic, if they first point hold, that's it. They're going to win the map. And Fnatic has first point held everyone on King's Row. That's what they were saying. King's Row and Hollywood, not all that dissimilar in some ways. First point, they're designed a little differently, but there are some parallels between these two maps. So it is extremely possible. Fnatic's defense all day on these hybrid maps has been great.
What comes in here from Himsy looking for the D.Va. D.Va ends up getting taken on a ride towards the very end. NIP, though, still going to back up a little bit. They don't really want to go in here just yet. Gonna give Himsy another time for another hook, but Fnatic, they're okay with this. They're actually bending really far back. It's working. Here comes the Dragon Strike. That's gonna force at least a little bit of rotation and forces out the Transcendence too. But you take a look at that, it kind of ruins Fraggy's day. He was going at the Nano Boost, doesn't get anything done, and Fnatic is just rope-a-doping NIP right now, and finally they find him up the strike, they get 3 kills, and they're gonna hold.
Zappas finally gets something, but it is on the D.Va mech, so it's not really much anyway. What's really interesting there is that Zappas used the Dragon because Mafu was so far away. Mafu only had 29% on his charge. That is uncharacteristic Mafu, not getting much done on that Zarya at all.
It's harder to get free Zarya energy and ult charge in this patch, but I gotta say, Fnatic right now, they're really just stalling out NIP as much as possible. They're making them chase them in and around, and it's frustrating them. It's sort of baiting them into their own demise. Here comes NIP, being aggressive once more. Fnatic just holding back. They don't care as much, and what an Earth Shatter coming from Stoop. Gonna knock down 2. Himsy gonna limit a lot of the damage here with the whole hog, pushing people back. Both hogs moving in with that ultimate.
Yeah, the counter Earth Shatter came out, but really still bloodless even after all of those ultimates. Coolmat on the flank up top, and Coolmat is still invisible as the NIP team. They do use a sound barrier on the offense. Mafu takes out Custa. That is a huge pick, but here they are battling back as Fnatic.
Himsy taking down Coolmat finally, stopping him from doing whatever he wants here over the top. And it's been bloody, it's been close. But NIP now starting to get some real momentum, fueled by Himsy. But Buds turning it right back. One good Roadhog hook deserves another, and Buds keeping Fnatic in this. And Hex, we are down to a minute 10 right now. Fnatic so close to getting that first point hold and winning the third map.
Fraggy has to be careful. He's out there kind of all alone. He's dancing for a little bit. Now his team is going to be there. Here comes the Sonic Arrow that you really want to combine with hooks with that pick potential. He's also got Dragon Strike on board, and Graviton is ready.
All right, well, the Graviton is in. Here comes the hungry Dragon from Zappas. Rolls right in, eats 2 right away. And Fnatic, you take a look, Coolman, his attack visor up. He's not under pressure right now. He takes Zappas down and Himsy. Time starting to tick away here from NIP. And Hex, if they can't do it with that combo, what are they going to be able to do it with?
They've got nothing left. They might have boost up, and Fraggy is going to have Earth Shatter up, but they're down to 30 seconds DP, or Fnatic's going to first hold.
So NIP right now, they've come so far, but now they are on the verge of elimination. 24 seconds remaining for NIP. Fraggy gonna have to be the hero here. Earth Shatter coming up. Will NIP be able to keep this map going on? Will Fnatic have one of the greatest defenses of all time? It's underway. Zappas moving in, the hook is out. Fraggy has Nano Boost on him, swinging the hammer. They get 1, they get 2. Not gonna drop the hammer in time, he goes right down. No, Fnatic is still in this, they're still contesting, but it's a 3-1 edge here for NIP. They are finally doing it here, Hex. They get the kills they're looking for, and Fnatic finally going to be pushed out. This game will continue at least a little bit longer.
Oh, that is just a saving move for Fraggy. He had to feel so bad. You don't want to lose a set with a hammer in your pocket right there, unable to get it down, but his team picks him up. They are going to get this first point. Not quite over yet, though. They still have to get to the yellow box of victory.
2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining here. And for Fnatic, are you expecting any change-ups here? Or do you think they're just going to put themselves on the high ground and shoot below?
If I'm Coolmat, there's no way I'm getting off Soldier 76. He's had such a great last couple of maps on it. They still don't have an answer on it. If he can just avoid hooks, he's going to be a constant nuisance, a constant point of pressure up top, and force them onto something they don't want to run. Mafu is already on the D.Va, anticipating it.
Fnatic right now actually getting really aggressive, getting in NIP's face. I think what they're looking for here, they want to make sure that if they do get wiped, they have another chance, but one Earth Shatter. Fraggy putting the team on his back by putting the other team on their backs right now. And what a play from Fraggy, opening the door. And NIP, they just need one more team fight, Hex, and we will be going to Volskaya.
They're in a tough spot right now for Fnatic. They do have a couple of ultimates to work with, though. Can Stoop find an angle to drop a great Earth Shatter? Can Custa keep his team alive with Transcend? They are going to be pushing into 3 ultimates of their own from NIP. Mafu's on this D.Va. He's got self-destruct. They're all trying to get different angles. The hook comes in right away.
Fraggy once more getting nano boosted. He has been the hero right now. Oh! Mafu with the dagger. In over the top, takes down 3. Here comes NIP. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going on to a 5th and final map.
Mafu used the backboard. He threw it against the building so it dropped down.
At the buzzer, too, effectively. Wow.
Well, ZPU used your sorcery to get us to Volskaya.
I'm a witch.
You are, and I could not be happier for it. Volskaya. But that defense is so close to holding on Hollywood. Fnatic's defense, regardless of how this goes out, like, it's been sick. This set.
it's been a series for the ages. Like, this has been incredible. Great defense being played by both teams, and oh my goodness, Fraggy at the end, what a beast.
Fraggy's the raid boss, man. Yes, his team empowers him to be so, but he just WM1, swinging the hammer, just one-handed, cleaving teams out, and he does it time and time again. And if you don't deal with Fraggy, then you're gonna get cleaned up by just Fraggy. If you do deal with Fraggy, here comes Himsy, here comes Mafu. It's just, there's too much to focus on. I think I read a tweet one time that said, Fraggy is a one-man army, and it's supported by 5 other one-man armies. Like, that's how crazy this NIP team is.
It's great, and man, 2-2, you couldn't ask any more from a semifinal matchup, or any matchup, really. Any Overwatch series, right now what we're seeing is a dream, and it's gonna go the full sky. I mean, the only thing I'm wondering right now is if one of these teams is secretly reunited, because this used to be Reunited thing, okay?
Yeah.
Reunited had Monopoly on Game 5 Volskayas, but apparently no Reunited here. You know, this can happen.
Reunited had a monopoly on going to a map that no one else had ever been to before. I think they broke in Volskaya, they broke in Ilios. Yeah, Reunited, a team for the ages for sure, but Volskaya Industries, a map we have yet to see in the tournament. It has been a while since I've seen anything on Volskaya. I'm ready for it. Here's one thing I know. The only thing I know for sure. Fraggy will run Reinhardt, Mafu will run Zarya, and Himsy will run Roadhog.
No doubt about it. But here's the real question, is that whatever team wins this, and who knows will be they win it on a first point hold? It is possible.
It's super possible. Absolutely.
Especially in this series.
We're probably going to a draw. Just get ready for that.
That would be epic.
It's
a draw where the tiebreaker is Ilios, can that be a thing? I mean, it totally can be.
Yeah, I don't know what our tiebreaker is, but that is neither here nor there. Because we're at Volskaya Industries, this is NIP versus Fnatic in Game 5 of the semifinals of DreamHack. This is, this Volskaya.
Volskaya. I mean, does anything more need to be said? We look at the skyline of Volskaya, the robots keeping the peace, where apparently there's so much crime in Volskaya that you need a robot every city block. I feel like that's a little bit overkill.
Look at this Fnatic offense. This is what we saw on Anubis. This is what crushed on Anubis.
It was, and you're going to have Buds here on that Sombra, Cool Matt on the Diva. It's going to be interesting to watch here, especially to see if NIP has an answer to the Sombra shenanigans, where Buds, we haven't seen as much from him as, say, what we saw from Complexity earlier, but he was very adept at building ultimate charge early and setting the stage with his EMP.
This is what Fnatic does. They make a game plan for a map. This is a set piece. They want to run this. They're going to wait for getting ultimate. They're not going to have to wait too long to get that ultimate. We've seen how fast you can charge. Going to find a pack, going to heal everyone on that pack, and then EMPs and clean up. This is a one-off kind of strat. Can the Genji get in there? And this worked to perfection on Anubis.
And don't forget, too, is that if the Sombra Gambit works out, this is one of the maps where momentum is perhaps even a bigger deal than Temple of Anubis.
Yes.
As anyone who's played on this map well knows, where if you have a bunch of ultimates up after taking first, the last point on Volskaya, very conducive to just running a Dragon Blade right over the other team.
Well, we're going to watch Buzz here. He's already got the translocator at the pack. I thought he was just going to pressure the point, but no, he wants to be a little bit of nuisance. He's trying to bait out the hook so that the front line doesn't have to worry about the hook. Trying to open that front door. Himsy simply ignores him and kills Vonathil instead.
Vonathil is down, but here's the important thing. Look at Buds. He's hanging out in the back. Now, he doesn't have his translocator anymore, so he doesn't actually have the easy escape. He's just actually going deeper. That's the response. Go deeper.
Leo would be proud as Buds continues to harass in the backlines here. He's trying to get them to pay attention to him, but NIP is not falling for it. They are just ignoring Buds in the backline. They will not be able to ignore him much longer as he's at 90% on his ultimate.
All right, here comes Fnatic. They're coming in through the front, hoping that Buds is trained up of a distraction, but I don't think that's the case. Himsy immediately finds Vonathil again. Vonathil being target #1 for Himsy's hook, because Himsy knows who he has to go in on. But here's the upside here for Fnatic. They will have EMP in the next fight. The problem is that it's not quite the quick Sombra strike we've been accustomed to. It's not going to be an EMP versus nothing. It's going to be an EMP versus something where they will have the nano boost and other ultimates up soon. So Fnatic kind of feel like this next fight could be very make or break.
They're very much expecting it after what happened on Anubis. They know it. Look how spread out they are. They do not want to get group EMP'd. They've started to get there. He does get the EMP off. Are they going to have the cleanup here? He tries to get the hack, but he gets away from the hack because of that boost.
So Mafu was caught out by that, wasn't able to get away. It's the first kill here for Fnatic. And momentum is a big deal in Volskaya, but Himsy, still the raid boss to be defeated, gets one, Zappis gets another, and NIP coming back on some point. The effects of the hack are over. Stoop with no HP, gets cleaved right down, and Himsy cleaning house right now, getting the picks he needs to get. It's still highly contested, and the walk back on Volskaya very long, so maybe NIP still loses this, but it's a good way of stalling nonetheless.
Yeah, it's Himsy and Zupe trying to keep it alive for their team, and they're going to actually send in another tank there, but it should be Fnatic taking this point. And it did take them longer than they wanted, but still the effect ends up being the same. Hoppy shows he can still play Genji.
Gets a little bit of deflect there towards the end as well, and that's the problem with Volskaya is that first point holding here, perhaps harder than most of the other maps in the game, just because it's such a long run back. It's one of those things where you really wish you were Lucio, a Tracer, just anything with some degree of speed. Now, the upside here for NIP, they have a Blizzard up. Blizzard, one of the very best ultimates in the game.
This is what you're going to see, though. He's going to try to EMP and then get this Diva Bomb over the top. That is the combo that we want to see. Volskaya, not everywhere that you can run and hide to. They're going to try to spread out. I think they know it's coming, but can they stop it? Zappas takes out Buds. That's one way to stop it.
And look at Fnatic. It's almost like you're rewinding a tape there. They just go, nope, backing up. Everyone hit your S key. We're just going to back up, wait for Buds. We want no further part of this fight. NIP, to their credit, though, not overchasing. That's something that can get teams in trouble, particularly on a map like this. Buds, though, rejoining the fight, holding on to that EMP, and he's going to look to cloak, translocate in, and immediately drop that, and here he goes. Buds on the initiative, just blind hook and try and get Buds, he almost did, but the EMP is down. Buds is going to give his life for that EMP. Here comes Fnatic. NIP, the Lucio wasn't hit by it, so they still have the sound barrier to mitigate the worst of this.
Yeah, not the ultimate EMP that they wanted there as Fraggy comes in and cleans up. We've seen this story before. They did not get the combination that they were looking for, trying to get that ult in over the top as well. So the EMP did work out. It's going to be interesting to see if Buds sticks on this. I think it's really their only strat that they have on this map, so Buds is going to continue to run the Sombra.
So I want to point out something that was really smart there, and I don't know if NIP planned it that way, but having your Lucio basically hiding in the middle of nowhere, away from the rest of your team, makes a lot of sense there, because once the EMP comes in, you can move in, sound barrier your team, and that buys you time to let the hack wear off. It's super, super smart if that's what NIP was going for.
I wonder if they're still going to try this combination of getting the EMP into the Diva self-destruct. Now, Mr. X also had a theory that you do the self-destruct in over the top so they think they're safe, and you EMP them right before it explodes.
All right, so Fnatic right now, they are moving in. Coolmat still holding on to that self-destruct. A lot of ultimates up here in general. We could be seeing a Nano Blade as well, but with Buds going down immediately, Buds isn't able to start this out on the right foot. And Fnatic, I think they're going to save their ults once more. And perhaps maybe wait for the EMP again.
They're all in on this strategy. No, he comes off of it. That's how bad of a Sombra game he is having. With the only person we've seen have perfect Sombra games is Torque. There is a lot of finesse to this hero that not everyone has mastered just yet. Buds is going to switch onto the Roadhog instead. They're going to go a little more traditional on their push. Hobby still has his blade. We could see a Nano Blade come in.
We could see a Nano Blade coming in, but NIP, they have the tools to deal with it. Oh no, Fraggy being unleashed once more, coming in with the Nano Boost. I know Nano Boost got nerfed, but I don't think Fraggy got that memo. Comes in, drops the hammer, does get taken out, and here comes a turnabout here from Fnatic. Happy Cool with the Nano Blade combo, moving to the back line, gets pooped and bopped away. Winston saving his Ana there, not letting Happy get close. Oh no, oh no!
Oh,
not like that.
A little bit tough there for Hoppy as he goes into the drink. We'll see what he wants to come up on too, because I think a lot of this was contingent on running a Sombra and a Genji together. Hoppy going to stay on his home character, but right now they are absolutely cleaning up. Zappas barely gets up that ice block, but they have got a lot of momentum on this point. They're running Cool Mat on there as well, and so is Buds.
The problem is this could be an illusion here, because the problem is that Fnatic has already lost people. NIP is streaming in. This is the grand 2 control point illusion, where you think you're winning the fight, but you're down people, so you can never truly win the fight, and respawns just keep you wasting your time for a minute to 2 minutes, even longer. And NIP, perhaps luckily for Fnatic, going to be sweeping Fnatic out here and going, you know what, come back with your full sets.
I tend to agree with you, but that illusion does work on the defending team as well, as you saw them burn out a sound barrier when they absolutely did not need to. So Kinnell's not going to have that up for the next fight. So you're absolutely right, but sometimes the defending team doesn't quite know that that fight is in their favor either. So you're right. We're going to see what they want to run now. They're off the Genji. Cool Mat is now on a 76. Hoppy's going to switch over to the Diva instead. This is their more standard offense.
Here's the thing for Fnatic, though. I think it's pretty clear right now that this is not one of their more practiced maps. I'm not sure either team actually thought they were going to end up here on Volskaya. And the fact that Fnatic is switching up so often just sort of shows that they don't have the in-depth game plan that they do on other maps. And here comes the aggressive defense from NIP. It's a Blizzard out there. Ends up taking down one. They lose one in the process, so not the worst for Fnatic. They deal with it in an okay fashion. And now Buds, he's gonna come with the hole, gonna crack that shield, and here comes Fnatic, looking to move in and clear the way.
That trade is much better for the defense, though. They will respawn much quicker, and they lost Custa there, too, who's been a linchpin of their offense, especially against this heavy NIP roster. No Discord means nearly no kills as well, so that's exactly what happens. Zappos and Fraggy clean up. Also, Custa was never going to get back into that fight on time. You know, Zenyatta, even though he is high-minded, he's not fleet of foot.
Absolutely not. So, we are moving in here into what could be the final push for Fnatic. They will have the self-destruct. They will have the Earth Shatter at the ready. NIP with tools of their own. See if Fnatic can find a way of cracking this iron defense of NIP.
Coolmat does go up, but Hoppy gets 2 kills right off the bat. Zupe and Himsy are Hoppy grabs a third. Fraggy cleans up a little bit. Hoppy's going on a tear.
Absolute craziness from Hoppy. Picks up 3. However, 2 have fallen here for Fnatic. If they'd only were down 1, it might have been okay, but they're down multiple. And despite their hooks of Hoppicool here, there will be a little bit of delay coming in from NIP, but might be too little, too late. Here comes Himsy diving in. The Diva is respawning in, and he takes down Coolmat. What a huge pickoff. The Blizzard is going to be zoning out Fnatic, and NIP now, they have restabilized. They're pushing Fnatic back, and for Fnatic, they get 2 ticks here on the final point, but that is all they are likely to get. NIP coming in force, evicting Fnatic from their point. And now, we're going to see what happens when we go to the next round, and what NIP will have to show us here on their offense.
That heat-seeking hook from Himsy in the middle of 4 people. He picks out the perfect target of Coolmat, who's got his tactical visor at the ready to clean up all the single straggling reinforcements one-on-one. Himsy comes over the top, hits a money hook, and cleans up Coolmat. So right now, they have to push in. This has been a bonkers set. We're going to Volskaya. If NIP can simply complete the second point, they will move on. It will be an all-EU final of NIP versus Misfits.
And what more could you ask for? But normally I'd say that Fnatic, their best case scenario
I
here
know what you're gonna say.
Is a draw. However, this has been the day of first point holds here, Hex. So normally I'd say, yeah, Fnatic, they're gonna have to play for the draw and go from there because it's pretty likely NIP takes the first point. Who knows?
I would have loved to see them stick with Sombra Genji. I know the first 2 didn't work, but I feel it was their best chance at it. It worked so well on Anubis, and I think they got frustrated because Buds died a little too often. I think that was the frustration. Had he played a little safer, gotten the charge a little faster, I think it could have worked so well. Well, I mean, I guess everything is, you know, clearer in 2020 in retrospect, but I think that would have been their best gambit.
I do agree, although I will say what NIP did the one time they did get the EMP off, again, I just want to highlight because it was very, very smart, where if your Lucio is nowhere near anyone else, where he's not going to get hit by the EMP, comes in and drops a sound barrier, you don't have that intense period of vulnerability.
It's taking a page out of Mercy's book.
Yeah.
Hide, and then save your team.
And normally Lucio doesn't like that. Lucio likes going at the beginning of the fight and being with his team, but the problem is if Lucio is with his team, then he gets hacked.
Right.
But if Lucio just stays a little bit further back, then I think Sombra has a much more difficult time, and maybe that's the secret to dealing with some of this Sombra play that we've been seeing recently.
Yeah, can't stop the music, man. So NIP is going to run this pick composition, which they run on a lot of different maps, a lot of payload maps. This is what they run at Hollywood, essentially, on their offense. So you're going to get the Hanzo and the Roadhog. If they get an entry kill, it's going to be really rough to recover from Fnatic, because as you mentioned, on first point defense, your deaths are nearly permanent.
Effectively, if a single arrow lands, if a single hook lands, and Fnatic doesn't win the rest of the fight without any other losses, this is going to be a lost first point, and Fnatic will have to play for the draw. So Fnatic, they have to be flawless here, and that is not how you be flawless. A Himsy coming in from the flank, takes down Vonethil, and NIP being surgical right now. Fnatic gonna have to win this 5v6. Easier said than done, especially with the threats that are out, and being down a Lucio. NIP in the driver's seat right now as they just get to work.
They're getting bullied off the top. They get a couple kills. Buds and Custa do combine for a few. Hoppy's trying to bring it back. They're 3, but it's going to be so hard for them to reinforce. Can Buds find magic with this Deadeye? It's going to be very difficult. He's already spotted out. Buds is now dead. That will probably be first point for NIP.
Attrition is so very hard to deal with here on this first point. The run back is intense. Mafu right now just melting down Custa, and I don't think Fnatic is going to be able to hold here. It's going to require just a miracle. Because again, NIP, all 6 back here on the point. Hoppicool, listen, he's had some hero moments this entire series, but it would be something else.
Well, he's going to stall long enough. He's going to stall long enough for them to get back. Bud still has his Deadeye. He will probably be coming up over the high ground. Now, if he gets anything, it's a different story, but they're holding this a lot longer than I thought they would. And Coolmat takes the high ground on the other side now.
Well, they jump in. They're still down members. They lose Vonthil. Here comes the Deadeye over the top. How many happy little skulls does Bud get? He gets Zappis. And again, this is not bad for Fnatic to bring back in. The point is almost taken, and oh my goodness.
They're bringing it back. Coolmat got to the high ground. They have no answer for this high ground. Once Zappis is down, they can't even fire arrows over there. None of the tanks can get to high ground. It's just hooks and arrows. And if you can stay out of the range, as Buds did on the right side, as Matt did on the left side, you're still doing so much damage. They're bringing this back. I cannot believe that hold just happened.
I can't believe it either. Normally, that is an absolute auto take here on Volsky, but it's Half-a-Cool staying in there and bought just enough time for Fnatic to get back, and they still had the win in uneven number situations, so Himsy gonna miss the hook. Opportunity now for Fnatic, so they move in. Coolmat says, I got you in my sights, grabs Zuppa, gonna be moving around the back line.
He makes him burn his whole hog. He got nothing out of that.
So now, for Fnatic, Hex, they're a minute 40 away. They are down 2 ticks on the point, so they really cannot get off the point for any reason. They can't really back out. And yet, in actuality, they're 2 team fights away, but one of those team fights gonna be almost impossible for them to win. NIP is loaded. They have the Graviton and the Dragon Strike combination.
But do you believe in transcendence? Do you believe to transcending to a higher plane? Because I know Custa does, and if he can jump into that Graviton with his team, he can keep them alive.
So for Custa, this is where he was big on the Temple Anubis hold. He could be big here once more, depending on how this goes.
There's the grab, there's the strike, there's transcend.
That Dragon not eating out the buffet here today. Fnatic gonna withstand. Himsy, though, gets hooked on the Coolmat towards the end, so it's still 6v5. They burned a lot of resources on Fnac's side. It's gonna be up to Buds to shoulder the load with Coolmat down, but they're doing just that. Custa's marking them up. Buds is knocking them down. Half-a-Cool gets down and dirty, and now Fnatic 45 seconds away from what would be a historic third hold here in this best-of-5 series. NIP seeing their tournament life flash before their eyes.
Buds with seemingly something to prove on his McCree. I wonder why that is. He is having a game of his life on the Cowboy Killer here. They are holding up top. They are all spread out. Again, they have no answer for heroes on the high ground.
And Vonthil, he has a sound barrier. He can keep Fnatic all sorts of healthy here if they want to dive in. NIP has to get on the point in just a moment here. There's only 17 seconds remaining. Fnatic actually has the edge in this last fight. NIP, they have to hope for the hero hook. And Happy right now gets into that backline, has a little bit of surprise, and here comes the sound barrier in for Fnatic. They get the first pick on the Himsy. There will be no Himsy heroics. NIP struggling to keep this in. Fnatic, the Transcendence is out. They pick up 3 more. Fnatic on the verge of going to the grand finals, and they have done it in a stunning display of defense, unrivaled in all of Overwatch. Fnatic sends NIP home and gets their final matchup against Mystic.
Defense wins championship. Defense clearly wins semifinals.
I'm just taking in the moment right now. This is ridiculous. What more can you say?
Nothing.
Wow.
NIP. Everyone in this room, in this production room, picked NIP to win this tournament. Every single one of us, to a man.
Uber is motioning to us to saying that no, he had Fnatic. He's letting us know that Uber was right. You should see where he's just like, so you know.
You should see Mr. X right now. He's shaking his head that no, that's not what Uber said. But I'll believe
You know
Uber.
what it is?
You know, I'll give Uber
You know
credit.
what it is? You know why Uber had that faith? There's the Australian connection.
We picked him to win this set, so I was wrong. Again, Uber's right. I'm tired of that.
What it comes down to is that there's a bond he has with Custa. They're both from the land down under.
Right.
And
they're
both
Koala brothers, I think is the term.
Koala brothers, that's a perfect term.
Yeah.
But man, it was just phenomenal watching this series, watching that display of defense. And for people who think that something like Overwatch is predictable, predict that.
Defense is... I love defense. I love watching defensive holds. I think it's a great thing. I cannot believe what happened. You know, a lot of people are going to get credit. You could spread out the MVP award in so many different directions. Buds went off so many big times. Hoppy buying time so many big times, especially on the assault maps. Custa getting in there. He had Transcend up again in that final fight because that's how well he was doing. I thought everyone on that team deserves an equal part of that hold.
Well, for me, I think Custa had so many big plays, so many big transcendences that you gotta really give it up to Custa, especially when people have been so much favoring Ana. But to break down what was a magnificent series, we're gonna be throwing it back to Zoe and the others on the desk. Take it away.
What a game. I don't think I've ever in my entire life so far seen so many first point holes from both of those teams. It wasn't like one team just pulled off constantly. Nip also had that first point hole. They just kept on continuing.
Weird.
That was the weirdest series I've seen in a very long time, but also at the same time one of the most interesting and most exciting ones to see. We also saw that both teams did try to switch a lot of things up. We saw that McCree, or rather players staying on McCree for a lot longer than we've seen all tournament long. Yeah, but, and he did really well. He hit those headshots, he got those kills, he got those stuns, and that McCree really worked for them.
It's like the first extended play of McCree we've seen throughout the entire tournament. I mean, McCree's really kind of faded out with Soldier coming in, but McCree definitely made an impact in that last map.
One of McCree's biggest vulnerabilities is when the enemy team can very much close the gap easily and get up in his face. And so in some of these situations, you'd see high ground being used there. If you already have a Soldier 76, and even if you don't sometimes, McCree is an entirely appropriate substitution to bring in there, I feel.
What were you guys thinking about that Farah? Did she really work out on Hollywood, or do you feel like there were a lot? I think the casters also mentioned there were a lot of situations where it looked like she could make a lot happen, but it didn't really happen.
So watching Dorado, I was expecting to see it there because NIP came out with a really aggressive defense, and they had a Mei. They didn't have anyone who could actually take Farah out of the sky. They didn't go with it there. They went with it on Nubani, but it didn't work.
Honestly, I'm glad they picked it, right? Yeah. They knew that they'd be going into a 3-tank with Mei. So
it was Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Either way, it's fine.
Don't worry.
I would have liked to see on Dorado too, though, to be fair. The only thing that really threatens Farah in that comp was Anna, and she is threatening. You still need to respect that a lot, especially now that Farah can be a little bit of an easier target to hit. She spends more time in the air, easier to Anna hit. I don't really want to throw anything at Buds in this regard. I think he didn't have the impact he would have liked to. When he did come down, he was often hooked in by Himsy on multiple occasions there. So it can work, it just didn't.
That is correct.
Yeah,
it's like for summing that up for us. We're gonna have the first replay ready for you guys, so let's take a look at that.
Yeah, okay, so this is a replay here as well. This is just when NIP are making that one last push towards the end here. And cool, Matt, this is a factor to deal with. Look at the composition here for NIP right now as well. You notice that they actually don't have a lot to challenge high ground necessarily. Not much that could really get Coolman out of position. So he's obviously jumped down here as well. He's actually come off the back building over on towards this point. Great arrow, Mitch, 10 out of 10. Now, this is fine. What happens, though, later on is a bit more of an issue. I mean, NIP have to go. They have to go now, and they have one ultimate really to work with here. And it has to be enough. It really has to be enough to get them to the end. Otherwise, they can risk sort of being held for a long time here. We roll the clip and see what happens, but Coolmat is a factor here. Fraggy, though, is... I think he's the best Ryan Hunt in the world, so I'm going to put it out there. I think he's just ridiculously good. Coolmat eventually drops down here. He sees that things go a little bit wrong, so a little bit of trading back and forth. Now, you see the shield drop there in that moment. Fraggy sees that, sees Stoop actually just holding back, maybe trying to recharge it. Waiting a little bit more, and Coolmat trying to get damage. He's dropped down to the ground. He doesn't get Earth Shatter, but look at this. Fraggy, massive Earth Shatter, 3 men, damage control now. Pops attack visor, but guess what? Mafu just switched to D.Va in that last moment. And then he comes through, gets all the damage that he needs to down, and that's it. That's done and dusted, and that is the Hollywood map going over to NIP.
Yeah, and Stoop actually had his Earth Shatter for Fnatic on that one, too. They actually don't even get to use it there on that push.
But I have to say, though, Coolmat really made a lot happen. Like, there was a lot of damage being dished out from him in basically every time we've seen him on Soldier, and it seemed really hard for their opponents to shut that down.
I mean, Soldier just in general deals a ton of damage, no matter who it is, right? I mean, he's just able to just put down tons of fire, just with a rapid fire rate as well. Right. I mean, he just deals a ton of damage. I feel like D.Va's done a good job throughout the entire weekend, like really dealing with Soldier, getting in his face. But Coolmat definitely played a very impressive Soldier in this series.
And that's why I'm glad they swapped D.Va as well, because NIP had something to at least challenge the high ground out, even though it didn't matter there as well. So they played around too. They knew what they were going to walk into.
I mean, they did say like early on already in this tournament that they don't really like playing D.Va that much. However, it's nice to see that they still adapt to situations here in game.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, they had something that worked, and then when you saw Fnatic take the high ground there on Volskaya, we're watching the game over there, and they have McCree and Soldier up top. It's like, you were just pointing to me. It's like, well, what do they have to challenge that? It's like, nothing. Like, they can't go anywhere near there.
It needs an answer. So I don't think NIP underrates Zarya. Sorry, it's D.Va. They respect what she can do, and they'll use her if they need to. And that was one of those situations.
Now, let's take a look at another situation as we have another replay queued up for you guys.
So this is interesting. I felt like they could have stayed with Sombra a little bit longer, but you see the EMP come in and actually connect with a few people, but Zupe up top taking him out, and the sound barrier coming in, they're able to sustain through it. And actually, I thought NIP did a good job like spreading out, not everybody getting connected with the EMP. I do feel like Fnatic could have stuck on it a little bit longer though.
Yeah, and look, we're talking about Volsky here as well. Fraggy's a beast. One thing I do want to point out, and the only reason why I thought that Fnatic would actually have this series, and I did predict it, is because we have two teams whose map pools don't intersect. And that Volsky was always going to be a little bit of a wild card, and we saw how it worked out.
Well, now we have Bonaville joining us. First of all,
Hello.
Congratulations to you and your team. You guys made it to the finals, and that was an amazing game to watch.
Oh my God, my heart is beating so fast.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I
It's
can
beating so
imagine that.
fast.
I mean, this was like just the best defense out of both teams I've ever seen in any game. How did you feel about like both sides there?
Like, I don't know, I got hooked at the first point when we were defending on Volskaya, and I was like I felt like, oh my God, I just threw it. And then my team managed to hold it, and I come back, and then like every fight there was like just people running back from spawn the whole time. I was like I thought it was lost like multiple times.
It looked very messy. I think
Yeah,
you,
it was really
you mentioned
messy.
that too. Like that was
It
the
looked like
messiest,
chaos.
the
Yeah, it was
messiest
chaos.
chaos we've seen.
It was really fun though.
Chaos is fun sometimes.
That's
It
true.
is.
Yeah.
That's true.
It was good games, really close one as well.
But what
They
were-
played really, really well.
Well, what were the comms like when you drop, and I believe it's like half a cool on the other side of the platform playing as D.Va?
When we dropped
Like,
down on the point.
yeah, what was the comms like?
I think Costa was screaming like, drop on the point, and I was dropped.
It's pretty easy.
You guys here as well, like the draft I think was probably the most interesting part of this whole series, right?
what
Because
do
you
you
guys, the draft was probably the most interesting part of this series for me.
Oh.
Seeing what you guys picked there as well, seeing Nambani come in for you guys and also Temple of Anubis there as well. I mean, do you feel like you were very much tested on Anubis especially? Because you guys seemed very, very clean. You had a very serious plan that you executed and it worked out really well.
What do you mean with the Sombrands on?
Yes.
Like when we were boot camping here in Jönköping, we were practicing 2CP a lot. We practiced Kotha a lot as well, but I don't know, we haven't really like managed to, what do you say, like got that under our belt yet.
Perfect
but,
it.
Yeah, perfected. But like 2CP, like we have our strats there, and it usually works. Like you only need to win like 2 team fights, and if you have the combo with the Sombra, you will like almost always take the team fight. But as you could see on Nip at the end there at Volskaya, the Delusia were hiding, I think, so he didn't get EMP'd, and then he could get his beat off. So like that was really nice play by him. So like it doesn't work every time, but most of the times.
I just feel at this point, even having the threat of the EMP just changes the game in your guys' favor.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it changes positioning up a lot, which is crucial. Is that Lucios are hiding there as well? I mean, we're still working on it, right? We really want to see that perfected. Why did you guys switch off that Sombra there as well? Did you feel like, okay, it's time to try something new? Because you didn't think it could have worked later on? You did have a D.Va ult, I believe, working in there as well.
Yeah, but it's like we didn't have our combination for a while with like we want to have and then also having the EMP. So basically we just EMP them, and then the Nano Genji can just clean up the whole team. But like Buds were feeling that it didn't work, and we trusted him. But like I didn't feel like it was working either. So I thought we still took our bet and just play our game instead. But I don't know, maybe we should have stayed on Sombra. Who knows? Doesn't
you
matter
won,
now anyway.
Yeah, I was about to
You
say,
won
you won anyway, so what does it matter? Now, Misfits is going to be your opponent in
Yeah.
the finals. We talked to Skipjack here before, and he did say he would actually prefer to play against you guys because during the winners match of your group, they already won against you guys.
Well,
Anything you have to say to that?
yeah, we had a disconnect at the end of Dorado, so they could just pop all their ults 5v6, so we were forced to pop our ults just to try to hold it. So like, if we don't have a disconnect, I think we can beat them.
All right, fair enough. How impressed were you with Misfits' performance in general in this tournament?
Like, I'm really impressed that they made their own thing work. So like, they're not playing the tank meta that everybody else is doing. So like, and that's like what makes them special. So it's a little bit harder to counter them as well. But like I guess we should be able to do it. But like, you never know like how they're gonna play.
That is absolutely correct. Now, we will find out in just a bit. Bonnefield, thank you so much. Once more, congratulations.
Thank you.
That was amazing to watch. I'm still a bit shaky from it and really excited too. Yeah, and so is he. I mean, that was quite the series, and that was only the semifinals. Finals are coming up in just a bit. And before that, I once more want to let you know that you can also win something here. Just head over to Twitter, tweet at NVIDIA_UK, and include the hashtag GameReady, and you might be one of the lucky winners who gets a GeForce GTX 1080. We're gonna head into a quick commercial break, and then we're back with the finals, so stay tuned.
this